Good morning, guys. BRB out here on the water. Not on the body of water I anticipated being on, though, man. Let me tell you. Let's talk. So, figured I would take advantage and get up a little bit early, head out to a pond that I have just absolutely fallen in love with. I had gone to a spot where I was hoping to catch a bunch of big smallmouth, and the water was too low for me to get the boat off the trailer. And I had to back in so far, my rear tires were like almost fully submerged. It just kind of killed me. And I decided I would instead head out to this one spot that I've only fished once. And I've never fished it in my boat. So here I am. Jesus Christ, dude, really? Okay. What a weird fucking... That was a weird fucking eat, dude. That was fucking straight up fucking bizarro. You destroyed this plastic. Absolutely destroyed that plastic, though. Finally. Super subtle bait. This guy was deep. This guy was real deep. Nice looking fish. Regardless, let's talk about what this video is actually about right now. I have been wanting to do like a boat update video for you guys because I've been making some changes to this boat here and there, and I'll be honest, like some of these changes were not the initial changes I had expected to make. Some of the stuff is a completely different direction. I'm going to go through some of this stuff and talk about the boat, some of the stuff that's kind of changed and what I've done here. So we're going to go tip to tail, I think is the plan here. We're going to go tip to tail, cover it all for you so that you guys can see what's been going on since I bought this essentially bone stock Lund Angler 1650. So let's start first off. If you're not familiar, it's been a little over a year since I've done like a boat breakdown video. It was the end of June of 2024. I purchased a brand new 2024 Lund Angler 1650, which is one of their smaller sized hulls, but it's not the smallest offering that they have. And this was based off of a recommendation over at Hank's Marine. But got into the boat, essentially it was bone stock with a 50 horse Mercury 4-stroke and a Minn Kota power drive 55-pound thrust trolling motor. Now, this motor did not have spot lock, but it was upgradable to spot lock if I had made some changes. Like I said, we're going to start right at the bow and work our way back, and then we'll talk trailer mods. There we go. A little fucking junior. He fucking came up from out of nowhere and ate that. Okay, so that's two. He came up from fucking straight up out of nowhere and ate that thing. And he hammered it. He fucking absolutely hammered it. Another one that fucking hit it while it was fucking crazy. Look at how tiny this guy is. 3.3 inch Kitech, man. He fucking smoked it and completely twisted this bait around. And the same thing, he hit it and he got hooked in the bottom lip, which I don't love because they can get their tongue that way really easy. But I guess fuck around and find out, I suppose. So I had looked at a handful of different options, and I ended up looking at trollingmotorparts.com for an update on this head, on this trolling motor, and I picked up the upgraded power drive head, which basically connects to GPS. It allows me to use my motor with GPS features, and that means spot lock, and that's a big one for me. Now, 55-pound thrust is not enormous by any standards. It's truly not. This is a great size for this boat. It's very rare where I've ever had current or wind situations that made it too difficult to be able to fish with. but it's pretty damn near perfect for what I'm doing here. And it's not really a battery hog either. It's you know, I can do a couple of full days on a single charge. Now, I should say that all the batteries I'm using are lead acid batteries. They are the stock batteries right now. Haven't decided if I'm going to make any changes right there, but I figured I'm not going to swap them out. I'm going to let them need to be replaced before I make any changes. So the trolling motor's great. The foot pedal had to go. To be perfectly honest, I don't really love the foot pedal. I don't like having to stand on one foot while I am standing to fish. Now, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I kind of rather this remote right here. I love this thing. There was a learning curve with, you know, oh, you hook a big fish, you want to hit spot lock, you gotta, you know, remove a hand from the reel in order to be able to do that. But so far it hasn't been an issue. Let's move down one step. Now, I did add some electronics on the bow, and initially I was considering putting a larger screen up here. Not anything with, you know, forward-facing sonar or anything like that, just because it's not really my thing. So what I ended up doing was I ended up installing a Garmin Striker, which is very, very popular in the kayak community as like a beginner level 2D sonar with mapping type unit. And there's a handful of different Striker units. I'm not even 100% which one it is that I've got now, but I'm going to put a list in the description. So if you guys want to check this out, you can check it out. I initially got my hands on this for my Ascend kayak. Never ended up using it because I replaced it, ended up with a Lowrance unit on that new kayak. So I never ended up using this. I made the decision to do was to get an adapter and utilize my trolling motor as my transducer. That's one nice thing about this Minn Kota troll. The trolling motor itself has a transducer built into it, and with a simple modification, an adapter, I can plug right in and use that for my 2D sonar, and it's actually perfect. I've been really happy with it. I'm still very new to using the electronics, but using the electronics in this boat, I haven't fooled around with anything like waypoints or really scanning any bodies of water or anything like that, but so far it is pretty good, and I love that I'm not necessarily relying on it. I'm just kind of using it as a tool. Like right now, I'm telling you that this water is much more higher temp than I expected it to be. It's almost 65 degrees, which is crazy considering that we're in the first week of October. How did I mount it? Well, I had this was later last summer. It's probably August of 24. I got lucky enough to do some work for Mr. Drew Gregory at the Kayak Adventure Series, and he was gracious enough to hook me up with some gift cards for Yak Attack. Now, Yak Attack is a brand that I'm really familiar with from kayak fishing. They make awesome stuff, and I did not know that they made an accessory that works with the Lund Sport Track, these 90-degree mounts. Now, I initially started using them, one, so I can add a cup holder, but also the main reason was to add rod holders around the perimeter of the boat that were vertical, up and down. And I used the same exact model of rod holders that I've got on my kayak, and they work fantastic. So I was toying around with how to install my electronics, and I was going to just drill right into the this platform where my trolling motor is mounted. I've got plenty of space there, but I said, you know what, I think I'm going to put it on an arm so it's up a little bit higher, and I can just kind of tap the controls as I need to make changes, if any, throwing waypoints in, stuff like that, and it kind of gets it up and out of the way. It also won't be in the way of the trolling motor at all. I won't have to worry about it. So what I did was I sacrificed the cup holder. Don't worry, it's coming back. I just have to get another Sport Track mount. But let's talk about those rod holders. So I've got two rod holders that are to the right side of me, which is where I would typically enter the boat from when I go dock it most times. It stays out of the way. They stay out of the way of the trolling motor. There's two. They are angled slightly back toward the stern of the boat, so they stay in place really well. They're lockable. So if I'm cruising or it's crazy wind or something like that, I can. So I go and I take this set of rod holders, and I live with them for a little while, and I love them. I think they're great. And I have a third one that I put on the opposite side of the console, and that one's in a position where I generally would be throwing a rod after I catch a fish and I'm trying to handle it in the net. This just kind of keeps the deck kind of clear, lets me put the rod somewhere while I'm working with a fish. It's great for like when I'm doing a measurement or something like that, or if I've got something toothy in the net that I've got to handle. I plan on adding a couple more of those in the back for when I'm fishing with other folks, because that's a big thing for me, is fishing with other people. You know, getting out on the water and fishing with some friends, and you know, I want to have some rod holders back there so that way they can stage their own stuff. So let's see, we got our rod holders covered. Oh, we have more rod holders right at the side of the console. I installed just a real simple generic like 4-rod vertical rod holder to give me a spot where I could keep my stuff organized and out of the way. It does make it a little bit challenging when I'm going under, you know, like a bridge or something that's really low. So realistically, I can stage 6 rods right behind me and then have the rod I've got in my hand that I'm using, and use that other rod holder as a place to put it if I need to, or I could simply put a 7th rod in there. I do feel like I will be adding a couple more rod holders on the side over here and toward the rear, but you know, so far I think we're in a pretty good working spot, and the cup holder is 100% coming back. I miss it dearly. Let's talk about the console. What have I done to the console? Well, the big thing there is that I've moved my Lowrance unit from my kayak in. Over on my kayak, I was using a Lowrance hook reveal 7-inch with the triple shot transducer. So I have side scan, and really that's the only feature I wanted at that console, was side scan and mapping. That was basically what it got down to. What I had done was at the stern of the boat, I have a transom saver, which is set up for the transducer. I installed the transducer back there. I actually bought a replacement transducer for it. So the Lowrance transducer triple shot is still on my kayak. Although I will tell you, after having that graph on the console, it makes a huge difference, and it's not going anywhere. So what do we have up next? Well, going toward the rear of the boat, it's pretty much stock as normal. I haven't added any seats. I haven't added a whole lot. Things are overall pretty darn good. The one major thing, if we're going back to the stern of the boat, is that I have I've added a second camera for my YouTube videos, and one of those 90-degree Sport Track mounts holds my GoPro pole back there, so that way I get this nice wide angle of the entire boat. You guys can probably see it right now. And the other big thing that I did was, I could have put some USB power back there for my battery, but I made a decision. I had been running it on a Noctua power bank, and it definitely did the job. It worked out actually really great for my needs. But I decided I would make a change and pick up a small Jackery unit. And I decided I would just run this back there. And that was a great decision. That was actually after a trip up to Lake Winnipesaukee, when I knew I was going to be running video a bunch and just didn't want to have to stop and charge every single time, which is how it is with that Noctua power bank. It is still a backup if I were to need it. I think that about covers pretty much all of the modifications on the boat itself that I've put together, and I'm happy with every single one of them so far. Now the trailer, what have I done to the trailer? Not a whole lot. Initially the plan was to replace wheels, throw on some external lighting, modify things a little bit for some heavy travel, and that is still in the plans. Definitely wheels are a big part of that. But I haven't done much for the travel of this boat, being able to move from one spot to another. The one major change is that I added, and I knew that this was going to be one of the first things, was I added a set of steps to my trailer. Now, a lot of the boat dealers are making their own, but and adding them, built onto the trailers. This happened to be, I think, before that got to be common practice, the year that I bought this boat. So there were no steps on this trailer. And, I like to fish like with my dad, with my wife, and climbing over the side of the boat is kind of a pain in the butt. It just is. Climbing over the side of the boat is not everybody's favorite thing. So what I did was I added these steps, which make life so much easier getting in and out of the boat, especially in colder water where you're trying to avoid getting wet. You can wear some, you know, some decent muck boots and get in and out with no problem. I think, to be perfectly honest, I think that those steps are, I would say, hands down the best modification I've made so far. And then as for the trailer, the only other add-on I did is I put a set of truck nuts on it, just because I've got a sense of humor, and I'm a degenerate fuck. So that's how that goes. I've taken this trailer to southern Jersey for no good reason. I have taken this trailer to St. Clair this spring. I've taken this trailer up to Winnipesaukee. I've taken it out to Cape Cod a bunch. I've taken it out to Cayuga. It's going to the St. Lawrence next week. So yeah, that's what I've been doing as far as updating the boat, you know, getting things together, and seeing how everything, you know, making modifications sort of to fit my personal style of fishing, the way that I like to fish, and so far I can't complain. I think things are pretty good. I think I'm pretty happy with it.